Hyen-Woo Kim pressed his face against the viewport as the shuttle approached Nexus Medical Station. The massive structure looked like a silver flower blooming in the darkness of space. Hundreds of docking ports extended from its central hub like metal petals. Ships from dozens of different worlds moved in and out of the ports like busy insects. He had never seen anything so. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The genetic condition in his blood was killing him slowly. Earth doctors had tried everything they knew. They told him he had maybe 6 months left. Then someone mentioned Nexus Medical Station. The aliens there could fix problems that human medicine could not even understand. The shuttle pilot, a blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, turned to face him. "First time at Nexus Station, human?" "Yes," Hyen-Woo replied. His hands were shaking slightly. He had spent his whole life studying alien biology, but this was his first time trusting aliens with his own life. "Do not worry. The Vorthok doctors are the best in 17 star systems. They fix everything." Hyen-Woo nodded but did not feel much better. He had read the reports about Vorthok medicine. Their success rate was incredible. They could regrow organs, repair damaged DNA, and cure diseases that had no names. But something about their attitude toward other species made him uncomfortable. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. Hyen-Woo gathered his small bag and followed the other passengers through the airlock. The station interior was blindingly white and clean. Everything looked new and expensive. A tall alien with pale green skin and large black eyes approached him. It wore a white coat that seemed to glow with its own light. "Human patient Hyen-Woo Kim," it said in perfect English. Its voice sounded like music played through water. "I am Dr. Quinder. Welcome to Nexus Medical Station." Hyen-Woo bowed slightly, remembering what he had read about Vorthok's social customs. "Thank you for seeing me, Doctor." Quinder made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your condition is quite simple, human. We have seen similar genetic disorders in hundreds of primitive species. The quantum cellular restructuring process will correct your DNA defects in 3 days." The word primitive stung, but Hyen-Woo said nothing. He needed their help too much to argue about their attitude. They walked through corridors filled with patients and medical staff from across the galaxy. Hyen-Woo saw beings he had only read about in scientific papers. A creature that looked like living crystal floated past them. A group of furry aliens with too many legs chittered at each other. In a language that sounded like breaking glass, "Your species fascinates us," Quinder continued as they entered an elevator. "Humans are so ... adaptable. Most species develop one primary trait. You develop everything at once. It's very messy, but occasionally useful." The elevator rose smoothly. Through the station, through transparent walls, Hyen-Woo could see the medical bays. Thousands of beds filled enormous rooms. Patients of every shape and size lay connected to machines he could not begin to understand. "How many patients do you treat here?" he asked. "Approximately 50,000 at any given time," Quinder replied without looking at him. "We process most cases in under a week. Your treatment will be even faster." They arrived at a medical bay that looked different from the others. This one was smaller, with only a dozen beds. The walls were covered with strange symbols that seemed to move when Hyen-Woo was not looking directly at them. "This is our research wing," Quinder explained. "We study unusual cases here. Your genetic disorder is common, but your species is still relatively new to galactic medicine. We want to document the process for future reference." Hyen-Woo felt a chill run down his spine. Document the process. Standard procedure. Nothing to concern yourself with. Quinder gestured to a bed in the center of the room. "Please lie down. We will begin the pre-treatment scans." As Hyen-Woo settled onto the bed, he noticed other Vorthok doctors moving around the room. They spoke to each other in their musical language, occasionally glancing at him and making notes on devices that looked like floating bubbles of light. One of the doctors approached Quinder and whispered something urgently. Quinder made an annoyed sound. "Is there a problem?" Hyen-Woo asked. "Minor equipment issue," Quinder replied. "Nothing that will affect your treatment." But Hyen-Woo could see concern in the alien doctor's large black eyes. Something was wrong. The pre-treatment scans took 2 hours. Machines he could not see bombarded his body with invisible energy. The Vorthok doctors clustered around their displays, pointing at readouts and having heated discussions in their musical language. Your biology is more complex than our initial assessment suggested, Quinder finally said. Human DNA contains redundancies and backup systems that we rarely see in other species. Very inefficient, but it explains your species' survival rate. Is that going to cause problems with the treatment? Not at all. We simply need to adjust our approach. Quinder made a gesture, and the other doctors began preparing different equipment. We will use a more aggressive restructuring protocol. It may cause some discomfort, but the results will be the same. Haiyan Wu wanted to ask more questions, but the doctors had already begun the treatment. The machine lowered from the ceiling and positioned itself over his chest. It hummed with energy that made his bones vibrate, initiating quantum cellular restructuring. One of the doctors announced the world exploded into light and pain. Haiyan Wu felt his cells being torn apart and rebuilt. His DNA twisted and changed in ways that should not have been possible. Through the agony, he heard the doctors shouting at each other in their musical language. Something had gone wrong. Genetic contamination detected, a mechanical voice announced. In several languages, contain the breach, Quinder ordered, unable to isolate contamination source. Foreign genetic material has integrated with patient DNA. Haiyan Wu tried to speak, but his throat would not work. The pain was fading, replaced by a strange warmth spreading through his body. He felt different, changed. Something new was growing inside him. Treatment complete, the mechanical voice announced. Patient vital signs stable. The doctors gathered around Quindor's display, their faces showing something that might have been worry. What happened? Haiyan Wu managed to whisper Quindor. Turned to him with what might have been a smile. Minor complications during the procedure? Your genetic structure accepted the treatment more readily than expected. Some foreign material from our research samples may have been incorporated, but this should not affect the cure. Foreign material? Nothing dangerous. Perhaps some enhanced cellular regeneration properties. You should consider yourself fortunate. The genetic disorder has been completely eliminated. Haiyan Wu sat up slowly. He felt stronger than he had in months. The constant ache in his bones was gone, but something else was there now. A presence growing in his cells that felt ancient and powerful. When can I leave? He asked. Immediately, if you wish. We have other patients requiring our attention. Tour day was already turning away. Your discharge papers will be ready within the hour. As Haiyan Wu dressed, he could hear the doctors discussing his case in low voices. They kept using a phrase that made his skin crawl, even though he did not understand the words. Later, he would learn that the phrase meant cosmic contamination. For now, he was just grateful to be alive and cured. He had no idea that something impossible was already beginning to grow inside him, or that his life had just become far more complicated than any human had ever experienced. 3 months after leaving Nexus Medical Station, Haiyan Wu woke up screaming. The pain in his stomach felt like molten metal flowing through his veins. He rolled out of bed and stumbled to the bathroom of his quarters aboard Deep Space Research. Station Harmony 7. In the mirror, his face was pale and covered with sweat. Something was moving inside him. Computer, what time is it? He gasped. 0300 hours, station time, the artificial voice replied. The pain came in waves now, each one stronger than the last. Haiyan Wu pressed his hands against his stomach and felt something shift beneath his skin. It was impossible, but something was definitely growing inside him. He tried to stand up straight, but another wave of pain dropped him to his knees. This time he felt his stomach expand slightly, as if something was pushing outward from within. The door chimed. Haiyan Wu, are you okay? G1 Park's voice came through the speaker. I heard you yelling. G1 was his research partner and the closest thing he had to family out here in deep space. They had been studying alien biology together for 2 years. I need help, Haiyan Wu managed to say. The door slid open and G1 rushed in. She was a small woman with short black hair and quick, intelligent eyes. When she saw Haiyan Wu on the bathroom floor, her face went white. What happened? Is it the genetic condition? I thought the aliens fixed that. They did. Is it something? Else another wave of pain hit him. Something is growing inside me. G1 knelt beside him and helped him sit up. That's impossible. You're male. Humans don't just grow things inside them. Look, Huan-Wu pulled up his shirt. Gi-won stared at his stomach in shock. It was definitely larger than it should be, and they could both see something moving beneath the skin. We need to get you to a medical facility, she said. The nearest one is back at Nexus Station. No. The word came out harder than Huan-Wu intended. I'm not going back there. They did something to me during the treatment. This is their fault. G1 bit her lip. She knew how the alien doctors had treated Huan-Wu. Like he was just another primitive specimen to be fixed and forgotten. Then what do you want to do? Before Huan-Wu could answer, another wave of pain hit him. This one was different. It felt like something was trying to break free from inside. Him. Call Dr. Lee, he gasped. The human doctor on the trading ship? She owes me a favor. G1 nodded and activated her communication device. Dr. So-young. Lee had helped them with research data several months ago. Her trading vessel was only 2 days away from their current position. Dr. Lee, this is G1 Park from Research Station Harmony 7. We have a medical emergency. The response came quickly. What kind of emergency? My research partner is... I don't know how to explain this. Something is growing inside him. There was a long pause. I'll be there in 18 hours. Keep him stable until I arrive. The next 18 hours were the longest in Huan-Wu's life. The pain came and went in regular intervals, like contractions. G1 stayed with him the whole time, helping him drink water and trying to keep him calm. Whatever is inside you, it's definitely alive, she said during one of the quiet periods. I can see it moving around. Huan-Wu nodded weakly. Stomach had grown much larger. It looked like he was several months pregnant, which should have been completely impossible. The alien doctors mentioned genetic contamination, he said. They acted like it was no big deal. What kind of contamination? They said something about research samples. Foreign genetic material that got mixed with mine during the treatment. G1 frowned. What were they researching? Before Huan-Wu could answer, another wave of pain hit him. This one was stronger than all the others combined. He felt something inside him shift and move toward what felt like an exit. It's happening, he gasped. Whatever this is, it's coming out now. Dr. So-young Lee arrived just in time. She was a tall woman in her 40s with graying hair and steady hands. She took one look at Huan-Wu and immediately began setting up medical equipment in the station's small medical bay. This is unlike anything I've ever seen, she said as her scanners analyzed his condition. Your body has somehow grown a completely new organ, something like a uterus, but much more complex. How is that possible? G1 asked. It isn't. Not by any known biology. Dr. Lee prepared her surgical instruments, but the scans showed that whatever is inside is ready to be born. The next hour was a blur of pain and strange sensations. Dr. Lee had to perform surgery to create an opening for the birth, since Huan-Wu's body obviously was not designed for this. Guan held his hand and kept talking to him, trying to distract him from the impossible situation. I can see it, Dr. Lee announced. It's beautiful. What emerged from Huan-Wu was unlike anything any of them had ever imagined. The being looked like a human child, but its skin was translucent and glowed with soft inner light. It was about the size of a newborn, but its eyes held intelligence that seemed ancient the moment it was born. The being looked directly at Huan-Wu and spoke without moving its mouth. Father. The word appeared in all their minds simultaneously, not heard but directly understood. Huan-Wu stared at the impossible child in Dr. Lee's arms. Despite everything that had happened, he felt an overwhelming surge of protective love. For the strange being. Lo, he whispered. The child's glow brightened, and it made a sound like musical laughter. When it reached toward Huan-Wu with tiny hands, the air around them shimmered and bent. What is it? G1 asked in wonder. I don't know, Dr. Lee replied, but its cellular structure is part human and part something else, something that doesn't match any known life form in the galactic database. The child looked at each of them in turn, and they all felt a sense of warmth and curiosity flowing from its mind. It needs a name, Haiyan-Wu said. The child turned back to him and somehow projected feelings of agreement and anticipation. Taemin, Haiyan-Wu decided. Your name is Taemin. The child's glow pulsed brighter, and for just a moment, all the equipment in the medical bay flickered, as if affected by some kind of energy field. That's not normal, Dr. Lee said quietly. Taemin looked around the room with obvious curiosity. When his gaze landed on a broken medical scanner that had been sitting unused in the corner, the device suddenly came to life and began working perfectly. Definitely not normal, Ji-won agreed. As if responding to their amazement, Taemin projected feelings of happiness and playfulness. He was clearly just a child, despite his unusual abilities. What do we do now? Quan asked. Han-Wu looked down at his impossible son. Quan was reaching for him again, making soft cooing sounds that somehow conveyed complex emotions directly to their minds. We take care of him, Haiyan-Wu said. Whatever he is, wherever he came from, he's my son now. Dr. Lee ran more scans on both Haiyan-Wu and the child. His energy readings are off any scale I've seen. Haiyan-Wu, your body is already returning to normal. The organ that developed for the birth is dissolving. Will I be okay? Better than okay. Whatever genetic changes happened to you seem to have enhanced your immune system and cellular repair functions. You're probably healthier now than you've ever been. Taemin gurgled happily and projected feelings of contentment, being near his father clearly made him feel safe and loved. I should report this to the medical authorities, Dr. Lee said hesitantly. No, Haiyan-Wu replied firmly. Not yet. I need to understand what he is first. And I don't trust the aliens who caused this. As if sensing the discussion was about him, Taemin looked up at his father and projected a single clear concept into their minds, the image of vast space, ancient beings of pure energy, and something that had been waiting for a very long time. To be born, I think, Gi-won said slowly. We're all in for a very interesting future. Taemin's laughter filled their minds like the sound of distant stars singing. 2 weeks after Taemin's birth, everything changed. Haiyan-Wu was feeding his son in the research station's small kitchen when Ji-won burst through the door. Her face was pale with fear. We have a problem, she said. A big one. Taemin looked up from his bottle and projected feelings of concern into their minds. At only 2 weeks old, he already understood emotions and could respond to them. What kind of problem? Haiyan-Wu asked. Ji-won activated her datapad and showed him a series of intercepted communications. Someone has been asking questions about you, about what happened at Nexus Medical Station. The messages were coded, but Ji-won had broken the encryption. They were from something called the Nexus Collective. The organization wanted information about unusual births, genetic anomalies, and anything involving cosmic energy signatures. They know about Taemin, Haiyan-Wu realized. It gets worse. Gaewon pulled up more data. They've dispatched a team of void hunters, professional killers who specialize in capturing or eliminating dangerous beings. Haiyan-Wu held Taemin closer. To his chest, his son projected feelings of safety and trust, not understanding the danger they were in. How long do we have? It'd be 6 hours before they reach us? Dr. Lee's voice came over the communication system. Haiyan-Wu, you need to get to the docking bay now. We're leaving. They grabbed only essential supplies and rushed to Dr. Lee's medical ship. The vessel was small but fast, designed for emergency medical runs between space stations. As they prepared for departure, the station's sensors detected 3 ships approaching at high speed. They moved in perfect formation, black and sleek like hunting birds. Void hunters, Dr. Lee confirmed. I've heard stories about them. They don't take prisoners, unless they're specifically ordered to. The medical ship launched just as the first hunter vessel reached the station. Through the rear viewport, Haiyan-Wu watched laser fire tear through the research station's hull. Everything he had worked for over the past 2 years was being destroyed. Tae-Min began crying, not with sound, but with waves of distress that filled everyone's minds. The attack was hurting him emotionally. It's okay, Haiyan-Wu whispered to his son. We're safe now. But they were not safe. The hunter ships immediately began pursuing them. Their ships are faster than mine, Dr. Lee announced from the pilots. Seat, and they have better weapons. The first laser blast shook the medical ship violently. Emergency lights began flashing throughout the small vessel. Tadashman stopped crying and looked toward the rear of the ship where the attacks were coming. His eyes began glowing brighter. Taemin, no, Haeon-woo said quickly. You don't need to fight them, but it was too late. Energy began flowing out of the child like invisible fire. The next laser blast from the hunter ships simply vanished when it touched the energy field surrounding their vessel. What did he just do? Dr. Lee asked in amazement. Protected us, Ji-won replied, but now they know for sure that he's special. The hunter ships increased their attacks, firing continuously at the medical vessel. Taemin's energy shield held, but the effort was clearly tiring the infant. His glow began to fade. I need to find his help, Dr. Lee said. She activated the emergency communication system. This is Dr. So-young Lee, requesting immediate assistance. We are under attack by void hunters. Several responses came back, but most ships in the area were too small or too far away to help. Then a gruff voice answered, This is Captain Dong-hyun Choi of the cargo vessel Strong Wind. What's your situation, Doc? 3 hunter ships trying to kill us? We have civilians aboard, including a child. There was a pause. Hunters don't usually go after medical ships. What did you do to make them mad? Long story? Can you help us or not? On my way. Try to stay alive for 10 more minutes. Strong Wind was an old cargo hauler, but it was 3 times the size of the medical ship and heavily armed. When it dropped out of hyperspace between them and the hunters, Dong-hyun immediately opened fire. This is Captain Choi to the hunter vessels. We are attacking a medical ship in neutral space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Lead hunter ship responded with increased laser fire directed at both vessels. Wrong answer, Dong-hyun muttered. What followed was a brief but intense space battle. The cargo ship's weapons were older but more powerful than the hunter's sleek guns. 2 of the 3 hunter ships were disabled quickly. The 3rd ship tried to ram the medical vessel directly. Taemin saw it coming and projected another energy shield. But this one was different. Instead of just blocking the attack, it pushed the hunter ship away with such force that it spun out of control. Impressive kid you have there, Dong-hyun commented over the radio. After the hunter ships retreated, Dong-hyun docked with the medical vessel. He was a stocky man in his 50s with graying hair and numerous scars on his hands and face. His crew looked like former military personnel. So what makes this child so special that the collective wants him dead? Dong-hyun asked. Hyun-woo hesitated, but Taemin made the decision for him. The child looked directly at Dong-hyun and projected a brief image into his mind. The captain saw flashes of cosmic energy, ancient beings, and power beyond imagination. Well, Dong-hyun said calmly, that explains a lot. One of his crew members, a young woman with a bandaged arm, approached cautiously. She had been injured. During the battle, when a control panel exploded, Taemin saw her pain and reached out with one tiny hand. Light flowed from his fingers and surrounded the woman's injured arm. When the light faded, the bandages fell away to reveal completely healed skin. How did he do that? The woman asked in wonder. I don't know, Hyun-woo admitted. He's been able to do things like this since he was born. Dong-hyun's expression grew serious. The collective wants him. They'll keep sending hunters. Next time, they'll send more ships with better weapons. What do you suggest? Dr. Lee asked. You need powerful friends. People who can protect you from the collective. Over the next few days, as they traveled through hyperspace, Taemin continued to grow and develop at an incredible rate. By the end of the first week, he could understand complex conversations. By the second week, he was projecting complete thoughts and questions. Why do the bad people want to hurt me, Father? He asked one day, the words appearing clearly in Hyun-woo's mind. Because they're afraid of what they don't understand, Hyun-woo replied. And they want to use your abilities. For their own purposes. I don't want to hurt anyone. I know you don't. It's what makes you special. Taemin projected feelings of confusion and sadness. But they attacked us. They destroyed your workplace. Why would they do that if I don't want to hurt them? It was a difficult question to answer. How do you explain concepts like greed, power, and corruption to a being of pure innocence? Some people think that having power means you have to use it to control others, Hyunwoo said carefully. They can't understand that real strength comes from protecting people instead of hurting them, like what Captain Dong Hyeon did for us. Exactly. Like that, Dong Hyeon had indeed become a valuable ally. His ship was well armed, and his crew was loyal. More importantly, he seemed genuinely interested in protecting Taemin rather than exploiting him. The kid reminds me of my own son, Dong Haeon, told Hyunwoo privately. He died in a collective raid 10 years ago. They claimed he was carrying illegal genetic modifications. I'm sorry, it's not your fault. But it gives me a good reason to help you fight these people. As they traveled deeper into neutral space, more hunter ships appeared on their sensors. The collective was not giving up. If anything, they were sending more resources after Taemin. We can't keep running forever, Kiwon pointed out during one of their planning sessions. Eventually they'll corner us. Then we need to find sanctuary, Dr. Lee said. Somewhere the collective can't reach us. Donghyun frowned. There aren't many places like that. The collective has influence almost everywhere. That night, as Hyunwoo was putting Taemin to sleep, his son projected a strange image into his mind. It showed beings made of light living in structures that existed in multiple dimensions at once. What was that? Hyunwoo asked. The bright people, Taemin replied. They want to meet us. Before Hyunwoo could ask more questions, the ship's communication system activated. An impossibly beautiful voice spoke in perfect English. Human vessels, strong wind. This is Princess Yenesio of the Luminari Empire. We request an audience with the starborn child and his father. Dong Haeon's face went pale. The Luminari. They never contact anyone directly. They're like myths to most of us. Will you accept our invitation? The voice continued. We can offer protection from those who would harm the child. Hyunwoo looked down at Taemin, who was projecting feelings of excitement and anticipation. It seems my son already knows about them, he said. The decision would change their lives forever. The journey to the Luminari Empire took 3 days through the most dangerous part of known space. Dong Haeon's ship had to pass through territory controlled by the Nexus Collective, where hunter ships waited at every major hyperspace junction. Tae-Min spent most of the journey asking questions about the beings they were going to meet. Are the bright people like me, father? He projected into Hyunwoo's mind. I think they might be, Hyunwoo replied. They're made of energy instead of flesh and blood. Will they understand why I can do the things I do? I hope so. The child had been growing more powerful every day. It's that morning. He had accidentally stopped time in the ship's galley for several seconds while trying to catch a floating piece of fruit. Giwon had been frozen in mid-step until Taemin realized what he had done and released her. That was scary, she had said afterward, but also amazing. Dr. Lee continued to run medical scans on both Taemin and Hyunwoo. The results made no sense. According to normal biology, the child's cellular structure is becoming more energy-based every day, she reported. And Hyunwoo's body is still changing too. His DNA is rewriting itself to match some kind of template. What kind of template? Hyunwoo asked. I don't know. Something that doesn't exist in any database I've seen. On the second day of their journey, they encountered the first major hunter patrol. 5 ships moved to intercept them as they dropped out of hyperspace near the Valdra system. Medical vessel and escort, you are ordered to stop and prepare for boarding, came the transmission from the lead hunter's ship. Not happening, Dong Hyeon replied. He turned to his crew. Battle stations. But before the fight could begin, something unexpected happened. Taemin sat up in his father's arms and looked toward the hunter's ships with curiosity rather than fear. Why are they so angry? He asked. The question was projected not just to his companions, but somehow to the crews of the attacking ships as well. For a moment, hunter pilots experienced pure innocence and curiosity instead of their usual aggressive determination. The lead hunter ship slowed its approach. What is this? The hunter commander's voice came over the radio, confused and uncertain. Tae-Min projected another question, this time accompanied by images of peaceful cooperation and mutual understanding. Why do you want to hurt people? Wouldn't it be better to help them instead? The simplicity and sincerity of the child's thoughts had an unexpected effect on the hardened mercenaries. Several of the hunter ships actually powered down their weapons. "This is Commander Vex-High to all hunter units." A new voice cut through the confusion. "Ignore any mental influences and proceed with capture protocols immediately." The spell was broken. The hunter ships resumed their attack formation, but something had changed. Their movements were less coordinated, as if some of the crews were having second thoughts about their mission. The battle that followed was unlike anything Dong Hayan had ever experienced. His cargo ship's weapons were designed for close-range fighting. But Taemin's abilities changed everything when the first laser blasts came toward them. The child created an energy field that not only blocked the attack but reflected it back at the attackers with twice the force. 2 hunter ships were disabled immediately. "How is he doing that?" one of Dong Hayan's crew members asked. "I don't think he knows either," Hyan Wu replied. "It is just protecting us instinctively." But the most amazing thing happened when one of the damaged hunter ships began spinning out of control toward a nearby civilian transport. The transport carried families from the mining colonies. People who had nothing to do with the conflict. Taedosh Min saw what was about to happen and acted without hesitation. Time seemed to slow down around the civilian ship while he carefully moved it out of the collision path. Then he used his energy to stabilize the damaged hunter vessel, preventing it from exploding. "He saved them," Ji-won whispered. "He saved both ships." The hunter crews were stunned. They had been trying to capture or kill the child, but he had just saved their lives. Commander Vex-High's ship arrived with reinforcements just as Dong Hayan's vessel escaped into hyperspace. The commander was furious. The target has demonstrated Class A reality manipulation abilities, he reported to his superiors. "Recommend immediate escalation to maximum threat protocol." Meanwhile, aboard the Strong Wind, Taemin was exhausted from using so much energy. He fell asleep in his father's arms, projecting dreams filled with images of beings made of light, who lived among the stars. "The Luminari border is just ahead," Dong Hayan announced. "Once we cross into their territory, the hunters won't be able to follow us." "How can you be sure?" Dr. Lee asked. "Because the Luminari don't exist in the same space we do. Their territory exists in multiple dimensions at once. The hunters' ships can't follow us there." The transition into Luminari space was like nothing they had experienced. Reality seemed to bend and shift around them. Colors that had no names flowed past the viewport. The ship itself began to glow with soft light. "Welcome to the ethereal court," Princess Yenesio's voice filled their minds directly, bypassing their communication systems entirely. What they saw through the viewport made them all gasp in wonder. The Luminari capital was not a city or space station, but a collection of crystalline structures that floated freely in space while connected by bridges of pure light. Now the buildings themselves seemed to be alive, growing and changing shape as they watched. "It's beautiful," Taemin projected, wakening from his nap. Their ship was guided to a docking platform that formed itself out of light and solidified just as they arrived. When they stepped out of the airlock, they found themselves breathing perfectly normal air despite being in open space. Princess Yenesu was waiting for them. She appeared to be made of condensed starlight in the shape of a tall, elegant woman. Her face was beautiful but alien, with features that seemed to shift slightly depending on the angle from which she was viewed. "Welcome, starborn child," she said, speaking aloud for the benefit of the humans. "We have been waiting for you for a very long time." Taemin looked up at her with wonder. "You're like me. In some ways, yes. But you are something new. Something that bridges the gap between the physical realm and the realm of pure energy." She turned to Hyan Wu. "And you, honored father, have played a role in cosmic events that you cannot yet understand." "What do you mean?" Hyan Wu asked. "Your child is not just a hybrid of human and cosmic entity genetics. He is the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. The bridge being who will either save our reality or destroy it." The princess gestured for them to follow her into the crystalline palace. As they walked, she explained the true scope of what had happened. The genetic material that was accidentally mixed with yours during your medical treatment came from a being we call the Weaver of Realities. It is a cosmic entity of immense power that has been imprisoned for millions of years. Imprisoned. Why? G1 asked. Because its power was driving it insane. The Weaver's abilities allowed it to reshape reality itself. But the responsibility of such power without wisdom or compassion led it to destroy entire star systems. They entered a vast chamber filled with floating pools of liquid light. Princess gestured for them to sit on seats that formed themselves out of crystallized air. Your child carries the Weaver's power, but also human emotions and the capacity for growth and learning. He could become the key to either freeing the Weaver safely or keeping it contained forever. Taemin looked around the chamber with fascination. Haenwoo could see that his son was picking up on the serious emotions of the adults around him. What does that mean for him? Haenwoo asked. It means that forces across the galaxy will either want to use him or destroy him. The Nexus Collective represents only one faction. There are others who would see him as a weapon to be controlled or a threat to be eliminated. As if summoned by her words, alarms began sounding throughout the Crystal Palace. Princess Yonesio's expression became grim. It seems Commander Vexai has found a way to breach our dimensional barriers. The hunters have followed you here. Through the transparent walls, they could see dark ships materializing in the luminous space around the palace. The vessels looked wrong, as if they were eating the light around them. How is that possible? Donghaen asked. The collective has been developing new technologies. They must have reverse-engineered some of our dimensional manipulation abilities. Taemin stood up and walked to one of the walls. He pressed his small hand against the crystal surface and projected a question. Why do they keep chasing us? I just want to learn and grow up with my father. The innocence and sadness in his mental voice brought tears to everyone's eyes. But it also triggered something unexpected. The Crystal Palace began to resonate with the child's emotions, amplifying his power throughout the dimensional space. Taemin, Princess, Yonesio said urgently, you must be careful. Your emotions are affecting the fabric of reality itself. But it was too late. The child's frustration and confusion were spreading outward like ripples in a pond. The hunter ships that had been approaching the palace suddenly found themselves pushed backward through space by invisible force. The Crystal Palace shook as Taemin's emotional energy rippled through the dimensional fabric around them. The hunter ships outside were being pushed away by invisible force, but the strain on the child was obvious. Taemin, you need to calm down, Haenwoo said, holding his son close. You're hurting yourself. The child's glow was flickering like a dying star. His power was immense, but he was still just a few weeks old. Using so much energy was dangerous for him. Princess Yonesio gestured with her hands, and soothing music filled the air around them. The sound seemed to come from the crystal walls themselves, helping to calm Taemin's distressed emotions. Better, she said, as the child's breathing returned to normal. But we must speak of serious things now. Your son's outburst has weakened the barriers between dimensions. The hunters will find another way to reach us. She led them deeper into the palace, to a chamber that existed in what felt like 7 dimensions at once. The walls showed images of cosmic events spanning millions of years. Let me tell you the full truth about what your child represents, the princess began. The images on the walls showed the birth of galaxies, the rise and fall of ancient civilizations, and beings of pure energy dancing among the stars. Then the images grew darker, showing destruction and chaos. Long ago, there existed a being called the Weaver of Realities. It was born from the collision of 2 dying stars, given consciousness by cosmic forces we still do not understand. The wall showed a creature of impossible beauty and terrifying power, reshaping entire solar systems with its thoughts. The Weaver had good intentions at first. It wanted to make the universe a better place. But absolute power without wisdom or emotional growth led to madness. The images showed planets being torn apart and rebuilt according to the Weaver's whims, civilizations rising and falling in moments, reality itself becoming unstable. We, the Luminari, were chosen to contain the Weaver before it could destroy everything. The prison we built exists outside normal space and time, where even the Weaver's power cannot reach. But something went wrong, Ji-won guessed. Yes, the Weaver's imprisonment drove it further into madness. Its rage began to weaken the prison walls. We calculated that within another 1,000 years it would break free and finish what it started. Princess Yanesio turned to look at Timon, who was listening intently to the story while playing with small lights that danced around his fingers. Then your medical treatment created something we had not foreseen, hybrid being with the Weavers. Power but human capacity for growth and emotional development. You mean Taemin could become like the Weaver? Hyunwoo asked with fear in his voice. Or he could become something better. A being with cosmic power, but guided by love and compassion. Instead of madness, the chamber was suddenly filled with new alarms. This time they were different, more urgent. What is it? Dr. Lee asked. Princess Giannis's form flickered with distress. The hunter ships have retreated, but they have done something to our dimensional barriers. The prison containing the Weaver has been damaged. The walls around them showed images of a dark space where something immense and angry was testing the boundaries of its cage. How long do we have? Dong Hyen asked. Days, maybe hours. When the Weaver breaks free, it will come for your child first. Taemin represents both its greatest hope for freedom and its greatest threat. Why would it see him as a threat? Because Taemin has something the Weaver lost long ago. The ability to form loving relationships with other beings. That kind of emotional connection is the only thing that can truly control cosmic power. As if summoned by their conversation, the space around them began to distort. Reality twisted, and bent as something massive forced its way through the dimensional barriers. It's too late, Princess, Yanasu whispered. The Weaver's free. What appeared in the chamber was beyond description. The Weaver of realities was part energy, part living void, part impossible geometry that hurt to look at directly. Its presence made the air itself scream. But the most terrifying thing about it was its voice, which spoke in harmonies that came from everywhere at once. Where is my heir? Taemin looked up at the cosmic entity with curiosity instead of fear. Are you my other parent? The question was so simple and innocent that it stopped the Weaver's rage completely. For a moment, the ancient being seemed confused. Parent?
Oh.
The concept seemed foreign to it. I am the reshaper of worlds, the sculptor of reality. But you helped make me, didn't you? Taemin projected feelings of genuine interest. Father says, I'm special because I have human feelings and cosmic power. Did the cosmic power come from you? The Weaver stared at the child, its impossible form shifting as it tried to process emotions it had not experienced in millions of years. You carry my essence, but you are different. I'm your son too, then. Do you want to meet my human father? Hyenwoo stepped forward, his heart pounding with terror, but his determination stronger. If this cosmic entity was connected to his child, he would face it as a father should. I'm Hyunwoo, he said simply. I've been taking care of Taemin since he was born. The Weaver's attention focused on him like the weight of a collapsing star. You are insignificant, a brief spark of mortality, maybe Hyunwoo agreed. But I love him, and he loves me. That's not insignificant. Love. The Weaver spoke the word as if tasting something it had forgotten. I remember love, before the madness, before the loneliness. Taemin reached out toward the cosmic entity with one small hand. You've been alone for a long time, haven't you? It must have hurt a lot. The simple empathy in the child's words seemed to wound the Weaver more than any weapon could have. Its form flickered and wavered. Alone. Yes, so very alone, and the power. The terrible power with no to share. You don't have to be alone anymore, Taemin said. You have me now. And I have Father and all our friends. We can all be together. But before the Weaver could respond, the chamber filled with black energy as Commander Vexai and his elite hunters materialized around them. They wore armor that seemed to absorb light and carried weapons that hummed with dangerous power. Stand down, Vexai commanded. By order of the Nexus Collective, all entities in this chamber are to be contained for study and weaponization. Weaver's moment of vulnerability vanished instantly, replaced by cosmic rage. You dare threaten my heir? What happened next was beyond human comprehension. The Weaver's power erupted outward. But instead of destroying everything as it had in the past, its rage was focused entirely on the hunters who threatened its newly discovered child. The hunter soldiers simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but removed from reality as if they had never been born. Their weapons and armor fell empty to the ground. Commander Vexhai alone survived, protected by some kind of reality anchoring device. He raised his weapon toward Taman. I cannot capture the weapon, I will destroy it. But he never got the chance to fire. Taman looked at the hunter commander with sadness rather than anger. You're hurt inside, the child said. Someone made you think that hurting others would make your pain go away. But it doesn't work like that. The cosmic child reached out with his power, not to harm but to heal. For just a moment, Vexhai experienced what it felt like to be loved. Unconditionally, to be valued not for what he could do, but for what he was. The hunter commander's weapon fell from his hands as tears streamed down his face. What have I become? Someone who forgot how to be happy, Taman replied gently. But you can remember, it's never too late. Princess Ionesio stared in amazement. Impossible. It's actually healing the damage to a corrupted soul. Weaver watched its heir with something that might have been wonder. You do not use power to dominate. You use IT to connect. Power is supposed to help people, Taman said, as if this was the most obvious thing in the universe. What's the point of being strong if you don't use it to make others feel safe and loved? The cosmic entity that had terrorized the galaxy for eons knelt down to look at the child more closely. Teach me, it whispered. I have forgotten how to feel anything but anger and loneliness. Teach me how to love again. Timon smiled and took the Weaver's hand, which was made of crystallized starlight and liquid time. It's easy, he said. You just have to remember that everyone else is important too. And when you care about them, they care about you back. Haiyan-Wu watched his impossible son begin the process of healing a cosmic entity's soul and realized that they had just witnessed something that would change the entire galaxy forever. The healing process took 3 days. During that time, the Weaver of Realities sat in the crystal chamber like a student learning to read. Taman showed the ancient cosmic entity simple things that it had forgotten over millions of years of isolation: how to enjoy the beauty of a sunset, how to feel happiness when someone smiled at you, how to understand that causing pain to others only created more pain for yourself. I don't understand, the Weaver said on the second day. Why do these small beings matter so much to you? Hey there. Lives are so brief. That's what makes them special, Taman explained patiently. Because their time is short, every moment they choose to spend being kind means more. Haiyan-Wu watched his son teach cosmic philosophy to a being older than galaxies, and felt proud beyond words. The child's wisdom came not from ancient knowledge, but from pure human compassion. Princess Ionesio spent the time repairing the dimensional damage caused by the Weaver's escape and the Hunter attack. Other Luminari nobles arrived to witness what many thought was impossible: the rehabilitation of a cosmic force of destruction. Your species continues to surprise us, the princess told Haiyan-Wu. We have studied the universe for millions of years, but we never considered that love could be more powerful than prison walls. Humans have a saying, Haiyan-Wu replied. You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, meaning sometimes the gentle approach works better than force. Dr. Li and G1 documented everything they witnessed, knowing that the scientific implications would revolutionize understanding of cosmic entities and consciousness itself. Dong Haiyan kept his ship ready for departure, though he admitted he was curious to see how the situation would resolve. Former Commander Vexhai had the most dramatic change. The healing that Taman had given him broke through years of conditioning and emotional damage. He spent hours talking with Dr. Li about the guilt he felt over his past actions. I've killed innocents, he confessed. I've destroyed families, and called it duty. But you can choose to be different now, Dr. Li told him. That's what makes you human. Well, mostly human anyway. On the third day, representatives from across the galaxy began arriving. Word had spread about the Weaver's freedom and unexpected rehabilitation. Some came in peace, wanting to witness the miracle. Others came with weapons, convinced that the cosmic entity was manipulating everyone. "We should destroy it now while it's weakened," demanded Admiral Koreth of the Stellar Defense Force. "This is our chance to eliminate the threat permanently." "It's not a threat anymore," Taman protested, projecting feelings of distress. "It's learning to be good. Children don't understand the complexities of cosmic security." The Admiral replied dismissively. That dismissive attitude triggered something unexpected. Not from Taman, but from Hyan-Wu. The father stepped forward with the kind of quiet determination that had helped humanity survive against impossible odds throughout their history. "Admiral, with respect, you're wrong about several things," Hyan-Wu said calmly. "First, my son understands more about cosmic forces than most adults. Second, you're thinking about this problem in the same way that created it in the first place." "Do you mean you want to solve the problem of cosmic power by using more force? Prison walls, weapons, destruction? That approach failed for millions of years." Hyan-Wu gestured toward Taman and the Weaver, who were sitting together while the child showed the entity how to make flowers bloom by encouraging their growth instead of forcing it. "My son found a different solution. Instead of trying to control or destroy the Weaver,